Skill jumps are back and hopefully here to stay. Now, I still want to do a larger discussion on this topic, but this is exciting news. So real quick, just in case you're not aware, back in the beginning of May, 343 released Season 2. And with that, they, without warning, removed a ton of important skill jumps from the game. They also nerfed the slide, but we're not going to talk about that today. Basically, remember my YouTube video from back in December? They took like half the content in that video and took it out the game and told nobody that it was going to happen. Also, the campaign speedrunning community took a hit as well, but once again, I won't be addressing this. The point is, myself and many members of the community understandably took to Twitter to express their concern with these unexpected changes. I had plenty of constructive criticism, and it's something we got to put into a larger discussion at some point. But basically, today, they released a patch, and that patch brings back the most important skill jumps to the game, which I'm very happy about. Here is a quick little video of all the jumps that were removed and have been added back. I just hit these post-patch. Now, first of all, this is awesome news, and I'm very happy that 343 listened to community feedback and made these changes. Now, sure, in my opinion, this shouldn't have happened in the first place, but just the fact that they valued our feedback enough to make these changes is a W for the community and makes me just a little bit more optimistic about the future of this game. If you don't know how to hit any of these jumps, I've got videos linked in the description explaining how to do it, and I'll be making more in the future. As far as I'm aware, every single jump feels exactly the same, and none of them feel more difficult. The pizza ledge feels like it might be a little bit more consistent. It's honestly hard to tell, so go ahead and give it a shot yourself. The only one that does feel significantly different is this pipe. That wasn't here before. This ledge on pink. There was a ledge. There was not a pipe here. Some of you are probably wondering why these jumps were removed in the first place, and 343 had several reasons they outlined in their blog. I'm not going to get into all of it, but one of the important ones was something called readability, whether or not the environment was communicating to the player that you could jump there. And because 343 decided that several of those skill jumps were not readable, their answer was to just outright remove them from the game, which in my opinion is not the best way to go about it. I think that unintended nuance in video games, especially in Halo, is a great thing, as long as it's balanced, right? Balance is very important in this game, of course, but if it is, then having nuance just benefits player and skill expression, and it's something you should try to embrace. And removal, in my opinion, should be a last resort, the last thing you do if there's no way to fix it in some way that maintains balance in the game. Now, this pipe is a perfect answer to the question of readability. This ledge did exist here before, but it was hard to tell that you could jump there. Now with this pipe, it's a lot more obvious that you can jump on top of it and more people can take advantage of it. What a great way to answer the question of readability for skill jumps. I think that in the future, if 343 are considering removing a skill jump, then doing this to the jump should be their first approach, in my opinion. Now, there is a trade-off to this approach, at least on this specific jump. Because they added this pipe, this ledge is now larger than it used to be, and this jump is now significantly easier than it used to be as well. Because the ledge used to be so small, if you jumped on it and had a lot of downward momentum falling onto it, your Spartan would slide right off of it, and there was no way to just land on it and sit there. But because the ledge is larger now, you can jump on it with, regardless of how fast you're falling, you land directly on it, which means this ledge is way more powerful. And fights in the pink side of the map are about to change pretty significantly because I can jump backwards, back and forth to this ledge and sit there and hang out and fight at the same time, which is kind of a big deal. Whether or not this is good or bad for the game will reveal itself when we play on this map. But in general, because this area of the map is spammed by so many grenades, I think having this ledge is a great nuance, and it's just flexibility to get around some of the nade spam. And I think what will end up happening is people will become very aware of this spot, and they'll start to look for this spot, and you'll have more... Oh, it's a blue one. I didn't know it was blue on this side. I'll take it. Very cool. It's color coordinated. But You get the point. Fights will be predicted in this spot in the map, and this map movement becomes deeper, I think, as a result of it. Now, you can't do this to every skill jump, though, right? Because if you apply this method to every jump and you make the jump too easy, then this would allow people to get to important sections of a map with much less risk and a lot of reward, right? It would hurt the balance of the skill jump. The point of a skill jump is it's supposed to be difficult for you to get the advantage. Because this isn't getting you anywhere high or anywhere special, it's just nuance, it's just flow in the map. It's not an issue. But I think for something like, let's say, live fire key door jump, if that's effortless to do and it's not skillful, then that could hurt gameplay because people can, without risk, just jump into, important sections of the map. So there's a very fine balancing act to consider here, basically. And I'm glad 343 reverted the other jumps without changing them and making them easier, because then you can shift and hurt balance in the other direction. Now, despite all of this being great, there are still several jumps that were removed and did not come back. So once again, here's a quick video of the stuff that was removed and has not returned. Once again, I think the removal of all of this was completely unnecessary in the first place. And I'm also not really sure why it's happening. Like, for example, if readability is a concern, is this not readable, this sign? Like, it does look like a ledge to me, right? Like, it just feels like it's being blocked just to be blocked, like just to nerf us and our ability to express ourselves on the map. It's hard to, basically what happens if you remove that is you make it more challenging to get to B-rail, making nades stronger in this area because it's limiting your options to access a fight, so more likely you're going to get hit by nades. And if you want to get up here, it's harder to skip the clamber. I'm forced to clamber. If I clamber this ledge, I'm forced to take punishment just for getting up onto this ledge, which honestly is not a very fun way to get punished in a video game. I'd rather get punished for missing, for getting outskilled than just freely shot because I'm forced to clamber because you've limited my options in this area of the map. So I don't get it. I think that this was not particularly difficult. I think a lower level player could have taken advantage of this. It adds flexibility and flow to the map. It gives me a chance to skip my clambers without having to get hit by bank nades into the staircase and taking free damage. It's just, I see nothing but benefit to having something like this. So it's a big shame that it's gone. I can understand the removal of this spot on recharge because this ledge used to be invisible. There was an invisible ledge that you could crouch jump up to here and sit on, and you can't see it. So I get it. It's not readable. Maybe it shouldn't be there. But why not just apply the same concept you did on Aquarius to this part of the map and even just take this pipe that already exists and already can be stood on and just extend the pipe farther down the ledge, and you preserve the jump, you preserve the nuance and the flow on the map, and we get options in the end. Like, that's once again, like, nuance that's unintended should be embraced, and you're removing options, you're removing depth from a game by taking this out. I see no benefit to the player for this. This one's even more frustrating to me. This used to be a ledge you could jump off of, and the beauty of this little ledge is you could sprint, jump, and land on it and skip your clamber to get to this window. It was skillful, it was challenging, and you could shoot while you did it. Now you can still make the jump. It's just cumbersome. It's more cumbersome and less intuitive. And I just think having the option is just beneficial for gameplay. That's all. Anyway, there's so much more I could say on this topic, and at some point I will. But basically, well, I'm thankful that 343 brought back a bunch of these jumps and listened to community feedback. I really hope that they consider bringing back everything I just showed. And I understand that not every jump in this game is going to be balanced and some stuff needs to be removed. For example, Aquarius. There is a spot that was hidden in the roof of Aquarius that got removed and should stay removed. You should not be allowed to stand in the roof of a map or outside of a map that's not contributing to gameplay, right? There are limits. But outside of that, I mean, skill jumping is a fundamental part of Halo and has been since the franchise began. Take Halo 3, the most coveted Halo, arguably the most coveted Halo game in the franchise, and that game is chock full of collision, like map collision, object collision. You've got skill jumpers today still jumping off flying cones and falling icicles, and you know, maybe you didn't intend it, but they're not hurting anybody. They're just expressing themselves. And that's the beauty of Halo, is there's so many freaking ways to express yourself, and self-expression is what creates passionate fans, lifelong fans. Removing jumps and removing collision removes player expression and basically removes content from a game where we already want more content as it is, basically. So just, you know, I hope that 343 can just hear us out, is really the only thing. Is I saw the patch notes, and well, in the end of the day, they make the decisions, and I respect those decisions. All the decisions on skill jumping was made from 343. I hope that in the future, when we see patch notes, we also see a line dedicated to community feedback. Listening to what the community is saying about the jumps is a very important component about whether or not it should be removed. If people are complaining about it, remove it. If they're not complaining about it, maybe consider hearing them out and not removing it. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Just a quick discussion. It's nice to see some of these jumps come back. It's nice to see more discourse with the community and with 343. I think we should appreciate the little victories that we get on this bumpy road that we've had with this game. Hopefully things continue to look up. Enjoy the jumps. In the meantime, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Check out related content. And as always, I'll see you soon.